If you failed a DOT drug or alcohol test and you're overwhelmed, confused, or getting mixed information about what happens next, this video is for you. I'm going to walk you through the entire DOT SAP process from start to finish, clearly and without scare tactics. Hi, I'm Cindy Athey. I'm a DOT qualified SAP, and I work with CDL drivers and other safety-sensitive employees every day who are trying to return to work after a DOT violation. I'm creating this video as an updated full overview of the SAP process because there's a lot of misinformation online, especially around the clearinghouse, follow-up testing, CDL status, and that confusion causes unnecessary delays and stress for both drivers and employers. So what a DOT violation actually means. First, let's reset the panic button because this is important. A DOT drug or alcohol violation is not a criminal charge, and it's not a lifetime ban from driving or performing safety-sensitive jobs. While it does mean that you're temporarily removed from safety-sensitive duty until certain DOT-required steps are completed. DOT violations can include a positive drug test result, positive alcohol test, a refusal to test, or other violations under DOT drug or alcohol guidelines. The SAP process exists to determine your readiness to safely return to duty. It's not designed to punish or label someone. It is a structured process meant to ensure safety for both the employee and the public. So let's start talking about the first part of the process, which is the SAP evaluation. This is a clinical assessment completed by a DOT qualified SAP. During this evaluation, the SAP reviews the DOT violation, your substance use history, any relevant risk factors, current circumstances. Based on that evaluation, the SAP makes specific recommendations. These recommendations, at a minimum, would be substance abuse education up through treatment. So it could be counseling, 12-step meetings, online education, all sorts of things. It depends on your level of care and the level of risk. So it's important to understand at this stage, the SAP is not clearing anyone to return to duty. This step is about assessment and recommendation. It's the starting point of the process, not the finish line. Now, the next part is the employee completing the recommendations. This is where timelines can vary because not everyone is given the same exact recommendation. It's individualized. So some people may complete education while others need counseling or inpatient treatment. The length of time depends on what was recommended and not on rushing the employee through the process. One of the biggest mistakes I see is people trying to speed through the process or completing the wrong type of service, which can actually delay the process instead of helping. So you always need to listen to your SAP's instructions. Because what matters here is completion, not speed. The SAP must be able to verify that you completed the recommendation before the process can move forward. Once you've completed the recommendation, it goes into the follow-up meeting. During this appointment with your SAP, the SAP reviews the documentation to confirm all the recommendations were completed. They determine whether the employee is eligible to move forward in the process. If the SAP determines the recommendations were completed satisfactorily, the SAP issues a follow-up letter and testing plan. And in that follow-up letter, it says that you are eligible for return to duty testing. The follow-up testing plan outlines the length of the follow-up testing plan, which DOT says needs to be between 1 and 5 years, with a minimum of 6 follow-up tests in the first year. But the SAP can increase that based on their clinical judgment. And it's important to clarify a few things. The SAP does not conduct drug testing. They do not report your return to duty results. That would be an employer or a drug testing consortium. The SAP's role is clinical. That's evaluation, documentation, and creating and issuing the follow-up testing plan. Now, once you're completed with the follow-up and you're eligible for return to duty testing, this stage your employer will send you for a return to duty test, or if you don't have an employer, you can hire what's called a consortium third-party administrator, and they will schedule and send you for the return to duty test. When the negative result comes back, which takes about 3 to 5 business days, the employer or consortium will enter that into the clearinghouse, and that will check off step 5. The return to duty test must be negative. If it's positive, it gets entered as a second violation and you get sent back through the entire process again. Once your employer has updated Step 5 in the clearinghouse, you have to remember, as of November 2024, the DMV has now gotten involved. So most likely you have gotten a letter from your state DMV saying that you need to complete through Step 5 by a certain due date, or your CDL will get downgraded. What happens is it's not suspended, it's downgraded temporarily. Once you complete the return to duty test, you will go down to your state motor vehicle. They will check to make sure the status is updated, and then they will charge you a reinstatement fee and turn on your CDL. That's if you miss the due date on the letter. All states are different with this due date, so it could be a couple weeks, it could be 30 days, And if people delay the SAP process too long, the state will make you do all the steps to get your CDL again. So don't delay in starting the process. One of the biggest misunderstandings I see is that drivers believe because their CDL is reinstated, the SAP process is complete. That's not correct. Your CDL status is handled by the state DMV as well as the clearinghouse. So DOT drug and alcohol compliance is tracked in the clearinghouse. That's the federal database. The systems are now connected. So employers are required to run a DOT clearinghouse query with your consent to verify your status before using you in a safety sensitive role. So employers should also verify that the CDL is active and through the MVR or DMV check. And I want to be clear about this. Most drivers or safety sensitive employees complete the SAP process and do return to work. The issues I see most commonly are from missteps, incorrect information, or assuming that someone else handled a requirement when they didn't. Once you understand the order of the steps and who is responsible for what, the process becomes more manageable. So if you're a driver or an employer and you need help understanding where you are in the SAP process, you can get in contact with me right here. There's my email, phone number, or drop a comment on this video. And if you found this video helpful, feel free to subscribe. I try to make videos weekly explaining the process to kind of alleviate people's anxiety around the SAP process as well as confusion. And I also link down in the description box is my link tree, and over there you can find the CDL comeback kit. It walks you through step by step the SAP process. It has an ebook about the clearinghouse and common errors there, as well as a job hunter kit for once you're done with SAP and you're getting back to work. So until next time, hang in there, you'll get through this process.